From R.D. Smothers Wealth Management, this is The Retirement.
When you retire, if you want an exciting life, you need a boring investment strategy.
Matters.
If you enter into retirement without a plan for income, you're not retired, you're simply unemployed.
Podcast.
Hey, this is your host, Dale Smothers, and you're listening to the Retirement Matters Podcast. My hope is that you will find the information you need in every single show on how to do one of the three things: either saving more money more efficiently, planning better for your future where you can live in retirement worry-free, or my favorite, how you can live a happy and fulfilled life in this life you have been given. We know that your time is valuable and we appreciate you spending it listening to this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast. On this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast, we cover a lot of different things that you are going to face in retirement. The three main topics that we discuss is, number one, what is a Roth IRA? Number two, we discuss what inflation is and how it can impact your retirement plan. And number three, we discuss how volatility can impact your retirement plan and how we can help you make sure that those things are mitigated. We begin the show with a really neat positive focus where we are doing a little bit of self-reflection, making sure that we are not using past experiences and or biases to judge what we see in front of us today. I hope you enjoy this show as much as we enjoyed cutting it. If you need anything from our team, give us a call, 270-600-PLAN. Also, be sure to like, share, subscribe, leave us a review if you like what you're hearing on the show. Without further ado, let's jump to this week's episode titled Roth IRAs, Inflation, and Volatility. Good morning to you. I hope you're doing well and you are ready to start discussing all things retirement matters. This morning's going to be a really neat show as we cover a gamut of different topics for you in retirement. Things like Roth IRAs. What are they? How do you get into them? What is inflation and why should we worry about it? Are we planning appropriately for that in retirement? We talk a lot about income and how you should be building your own income plan. And of course, as always, we're here to help if you need any assistance at all in your own retirement plan, or if you have money that you are looking to invest and you just don't want to worry about losing a great deal of that money due to the stock market. That's what we do. We help you save money and, of course, plan better for a happy life in retirement. Now, let me tell you, there is one thing that we're going to discuss today that is going to perhaps be something you never heard of before if we get around to it. If we have time, I want to talk to you about an investment that gives you complete downside protection. You have no loss in the stock market. It's 100% protection on the downside of the stock market, and you get to participate in the upside of the stock market if the market does well. And this is a 12-month kind of a 12-month investment. So for every 12 months, if the market does well, you do well. If the market does poorly, you are flat. You don't lose any money. This is something we've been using for many years in one version. A new version just came out that makes it even more liquid, even more flexible. And man, these things are incredible for people who are looking to invest money, especially in times like this, but they're so fearful that they're going to lose money in the stock market. There is a no-feed version. There is a feed version. These things are things that we discuss in consultations. Give us a call, 270-600-PLAN, if you are looking to build a retirement plan that has limited volatility. This is the key, making sure we're lowering the volatility inside of your retirement portfolio. I would rather you earn 5% rate of return with no volatility as to earn 10% rate of return with extreme volatility. Now, I understand that may be a little confusing, and I can even hear you ask, why in the world, Dale, would you rather have 5% rate of return over 10? And the reason is because average rates of return will lie to you if you're not careful and you're taking on too much volatility. We're going to cover this deeper in the show. Again, I hope to get around to that portion. But before we get to anything, I want to go to the pause for positivity, which I'm going to tell you about a picture that I saw a couple of days ago. This picture really impacted me. It was on a social media site somewhere where it was a picture made up of blue and black and white squares, 3 different colors, only 3 colors in this picture. And when you stood far enough back from these dots, very small dots all over the page, when you stood far enough back, you saw a picture of a man holding something in his hand, and he was in front of what appeared to be maybe a railroad track. And behind that railroad track, it was a layered picture. It had a lot of layers to it whenever you stood far enough back from it. Behind the railroad track was a road, and then behind the road was a line of buildings. And what you immediately realize is that the gentleman is holding in his hand a Coca-Cola can. And when I first saw this picture, the Coca-Cola can was red. The tracks were brown. The road was black. The buildings behind them had different colors. But when I read the description, it told me this picture is made up of entirely blue, black, and white squares. There is no red in this picture. Yet our brains are making the Coke can red. Now, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to post this on my Facebook. And so you guys go out there and look at my Facebook if you want. Dale Smothers. You can probably search at Dale Smothers, and it will be on my Facebook. I don't post a lot on Facebook, but I'll post this on Facebook for you to look at. And I want you to zoom in on it. And there's a lot of controversy around this picture because people say, oh, it's got red in it. But if you zoom in, there is no red. If you zoom close enough in on that Coke can, it's just black, white, and blue, just like it says. There's no hue of red. There's nothing there. You can make the screen as bright as you want to. It's all black, white, and blue. But our brains are making that Coke can red when we realize what it is. Now, we're going to talk around that in just a second, but before we do, I'm going to quote this ancient Jewish proverb that I heard, which I guess all the book of Proverbs are Jewish proverbs, right? But this proverb I'd never heard before. This rabbi, I was watching a documentary, and this rabbi got on the television, and he said this proverb. He said, "You cannot learn something new until you nullify everything you've learned before." You cannot learn something new until you nullify everything you learned before. Now, I want to be very clear here. This is a Pause for Positivity section on the Retirement Matters show. And we are trying to do a little self-reflection here. If this is the first time you've heard this show, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, is this a financial show or some sort of a positive focus show? Well, it's a little bit of both, because unless you have your focus correct, unless you have your purpose nailed down, then retirement will not be what you hope it to be. Just living and hoping more money accumulates is the wrong way to live in retirement. And so I want to ask you this question. What is it that you may be struggling with right now to learn? What is it that you may be struggling with to change about who you are and knowing, yes, I need to do something different. I need to be able to do something a little better in my life. I'm going to ask you, is there something you should forget before you do that? Is there something you should nullify that you've already learned before you try to learn something new? Because just like this picture, if we're not careful, although there is no red there, this picture is something that our brains know is supposed to be red. Therefore, our brains put red in the picture because it's a Coke can. Of course it's red. It says Coke on it. I mean, it's obvious that it's a Coke can, so it's going to be red, and our brain puts red where the white is, which is pretty neat because where there is void, no color, our brain will put color. And maybe it's not that we need to be better people and learn something new, but instead, maybe we should just fill that void with something that makes us new. I hope you get what I'm saying here. Maybe there's a void inside of us somewhere that we should fill with the right color or the right person. And that person I'm talking about, his name is Jesus. Maybe there's something in our life that we need to forget about. Maybe there's something in our life that we need to let go of, nullifying what we've learned about a person or a situation to be able to then step into that situation or to be able to lean into that person and to make a connection. Maybe these things are things you need to hear today. Maybe they're not. But I want you to think about why our brains are putting red into that picture. And I want to couple it with this rabbi's speech saying to learn something new, you must nullify what you've learned in the past. And I think those two go hand in hand. And with that, I would like to conclude the positive focus for today, our pause for positivity. I would like to conclude that with a challenge. And that challenge is to not allow your mind to make you fight demons that aren't there. Not allow your mind to put onto people things that are in the past that maybe are no longer there. Do not have prejudice. Do not have bias. And if there is a void in your life that needs to be filled with the love of Christ, do it today. That's our challenge this week. And I'm going to go through that challenge with you. And I think we'll be surprised at how bright the world gets this week if we do that with intention. All right, don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more Retirement Matters right after this break.
You're listening to the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. If you'd like to listen to past episodes and find exclusive content and full-length interviews, search for the Retirement Matters podcast on the podcast platform of your choice, or visit us online at rdswealth.com. Unfortunately, for many retirees, they're simply trading in the stress of work for the stress and worry about their financial future. At RD Smothers Wealth Management, our goal is to help build you a retirement plan that provides a smooth transition away from the time clock and into the time of your life. So even if you're still waiting on work retirement, we want to help you retire now from the worry of retirement funding. If you'd like to chat with a member of our team, you can do so absolutely free by calling 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-PLAN. Visit us online at rdswealth.com and be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter.
Welcome back to the show. Let's get started with today's topic, number one, which is retirement Roth IRAs. What is a Roth IRA? That's one of the questions we have a lot of times. And whether people ask it or not, a lot more people have that question than we may think. A Roth IRA, what is the difference? Why would it matter if I have a Roth IRA? I want to be very clear here. A Roth IRA is not the actual investment per se. It's an account. It's an account type. Just like we say we have an individual checking account or a joint checking account. A Roth IRA is an account type. A 401k is an account type. A 403b, a 457, a TSP, right? We've all heard of those things. What about an IRA? Again, it's account type. It's an account title. It's not the investment itself. If you have a 401k, you're familiar with the fact that you can dive into that 401k and see how you're invested. A Roth IRA being an account type is only an account type. How you invest inside of that Roth IRA, it's up to you. Knowing this fact, it almost immediately debunks this myth that Roth IRAs are safer than 401ks or Roth IRAs are safer than traditional IRAs. That's not true because it really matters how you are invested inside of those accounts. Now, granted, a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, an individual retirement agreement, IRA, that type of account can very easily be more safe than a 401k. It can be a little more conservative than a 403b. It can be a little more conservative than a TSP because you have more choices for the investments that you put inside of those accounts. But just saying a blanketed statement of Roth IRA is the way to go because it's safer, well, that's just not realistic. So understanding that a Roth IRA is simply an account title, we often get a question of how do I get money into a Roth IRA? What accounts can fund this Roth IRA? Dale, I've got money sitting at the bank. Can I open up a Roth IRA? The answer is most likely yes. Depending on your income, and if you earn too much, you cannot open a Roth IRA account. But as long as you don't make too much money, you can open a Roth IRA account and you can fund money into that account. That is called a contribution. A Roth IRA contribution is limited based off of your age and the year in which you are contributing. For 2024, that contribution limit is $7,000. You can put $7,000 per year into a Roth IRA and be within the limits of a Roth IRA contribution. If you're over the age of 50, you have an additional $1,000 worth of a catch-up, which means $8,000 maximum. If you're married, $8,000 between the two of you means your family can put in up to $16,000 into a Roth IRA. Now you think, okay, I do that for 20 or 30 years, Dale, that's not that much money. But if you give that 20 or 30 years compound interest and time, and you couple that with the fact that once you've put money into a Roth IRA, you never get taxed again on that money, not even the gains, you can see where it starts to really add up to be something substantial if you've maxed out your Roth IRA for 20 years in a row and you get to retirement years. Now, the Roth IRA contribution is not the only way to get money into an IRA. There's something called a conversion. A Roth conversion can be done with no annual maximums. You can put as much as you want, and no earnings limit. You can do it no matter how much money you've made. Also, in a Roth IRA for contributions, there is a minimum that you must make, and that's at least the amount of money you contribute. So you can't make $2,000 in a year and contribute $7,000. If you made $2,000, you're limited to $2,000 worth of contribution. You can't contribute more to a Roth IRA than you've actually made in that year. You have to have earned income to get to a Roth IRA. But here's the thing. In a Roth contribution, you have to make money. In a Roth conversion, you don't have to make any money that year. As a matter of fact, it may be the perfect time to do a Roth conversion because your tax bill is lower. The reason we do conversions is because we can pay out our partner, the IRS, at a known rate that we believe to be lower than what you will retire in. Taxes are likely to increase. The way we spend money as a country is almost out of control. And at some point, we're going to have to pay those taxes back. This is why a Roth conversion makes sense for a lot of people as they approach retirement income phase. But whether or not it makes sense for you needs to be examined under the confines of a well-written income plan. This income plan is first and foremost in everything you do. You've got to understand what kind of income you need before you start making investment decisions for income in the future. Now, if you're 50, an income plan might not be as important as if you're 60. But if you're 60 years old and planning on retiring anytime in the next 5 years, it is time to get very serious about income planning. And in this income plan, wouldn't it be nice if you had the ability to take money out of your Roth IRA, income tax-free? Also, driving down what we call provisional income for Social Security, which means Social Security becomes less taxed, if not taxed at all. That's a really powerful place to be when it comes to retirement income planning. We can help you get there as long as we start soon enough. We get this question a lot. Dale, when should we start seeing you? Well, realistically, my team is built to help you in any stage of retirement planning, but we specialize in the income phase of retirement planning, and we specialize in those who are still in growth phase, transitioning to income phase sometime between the next 5 and 10 years. If we can catch someone that's 5 years away from retirement income phase, man, we can start to put together a really nice plan for them that helps them understand how much income they're going to get in retirement and not have to worry about the crazy market turns of ups and downs that we've seen in the last little bit affect their date of retirement. We love it when people walk out of our office and they circle their date of retirement with a great deal of certainty that their dreams are going to come true in that period of time. So if you are needing help in understanding what a Roth conversion is or whether or not you should be doing it, maybe understanding what a Roth IRA is altogether, let's sit down and chat. 270-600-PLAN will get you in touch with me or a member of the team, and we will sit down together to discuss what a Roth IRA may bring to your situation and whether it makes sense or not. We'll probably start with an income discussion and from there be able to build all of the other portions of the plan. We're building them out, starting with income, going to investment planning, tax planning, legacy planning, and healthcare planning, all for you to live happy in retirement. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back with more Retirement Matters after this quick break.
You're listening to the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. Dale is the founder and president of R.D. Smothers Wealth Management. We specialize in building retirement plans that allow you to walk away from the worry of running out of money. If you'd like to chat with a member of our team, you can do so absolutely free by calling 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-PLAN. Visit us online at rdswealth.com and be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter.
Welcome back to the show. I want to kick off this segment with a little fact that I read the other day. It's a fun fact of a retirement couple who had booked 52 cruises back to back, week after week, on a different boat, going to a different place in the world, because they said it was actually cheaper to do 52 cruises for the year than it was to live in a retirement home. And I thought, wow, that's a pretty neat way to retire. It's not for everybody, but this couple decided they were going to get out of the norm of retirement and go see the world. And they wanted to do that without having to worry about anything else. So cruises were their way out. And you think about all of the expenses that they were able to forego, such as gas, insurance, rent, all of the things that come with, retiring and living in your own home and having to do the upkeep and the maintenance. Now, I don't know how they handled healthcare. I don't know how they handled day-to-day needs like pharmacy, but I'm sure navigating those were a little bit less stressful because they knew they were going to be seeing the world this entire year. It made me think about this nasty little word called inflation. Inflation is kind of a negative interest rate that you earn in retirement. It works against you. It works against you while you're in the growth phase, but it can devastate you while you're in your income phase. If you want to think about inflation and the crazy power of inflation, back in 1980, 1 hour of minimum wage work would buy you around 6 Big Macs. Yeah, minimum wage back then, $3.10. A Big Mac cost you 50 cents. You could buy 6 Big Macs. Today, you're lucky if minimum wage work will buy you 1. This is in large part because the dollar has lost a significant amount of purchasing power. If I pull out a $100 bill today and I got in my fancy time machine that doesn't really exist, and I went back 30 years, that $100 bill makes me a very wealthy man. If I go 30 years in advance, let's imagine that they even know what I'm holding in my hand, and I think it's very easy to see that $100 bill is not going to spend anywhere close to what $100 can buy me today. This is because of inflation. Purchasing power is lost due to inflation. And as you go into retirement planning, you're going to need to put together a strong income plan. You need an income advisor to help you do this. If you work with the wrong advisor or you try to do this on your own, you may fall into the error of believing that $5,000 a month today is what you need. So $5,000 a month for 12 months, and I'm going to live 30 years into retirement. Okay, together I need X dollar amount. Let's do that real quick. $5,000 a month. Dale, if I were to have $5,000 a month, and I needed that for 12 months, and I need that for, let's say, 30 years of retirement. Okay, I need $1.8 million to make that $5,000 a month appear. Well, first of all, you've forgotten to account for a few things. Do you need $5,000 a month in addition to Social Security? Do you need $5,000 a month in addition to your pensions? Oh, no. Oh, Dale, I'm glad you mentioned that. Okay, you're right. So $5,000 a month. I've got $3,000 in Social Security. I got $800 in pension. I need $1,200 a month, Dale. Okay, $1,200 a month from our retirement account. We're going to do that for 12 months. That's $14,400 a year. I'm going to do that for 30 years. That's $432,000. Man, that sounds a lot better, Dale. Not 1.8, but 432,000. Yeah, but what about inflation? I haven't thought about that. How do I do that? Well, the biggest and probably easiest way to do that is to contact an income advisor and let them put together a strong income plan that accounts for inflation. Because $1,500 a month is what you need, but what about 5 years from now, when $1,500 a month, in order to spend that of today's dollar, it actually is about $2,000 a month. And what about 10 years from now, whenever you need $2,700 a month to be able to purchase things like it was $1,500 to today's dollars? This is what we talk about with inflation, and making sure you're figuring that into your income plan is not only imperative, but if you fail to do that, it could be detrimental. Failing to plan for the loss of purchasing power, aka inflation, is going to determine how you live out your retirement years. And the last thing we want you to do is to believe that $432,000 of today's money is going to generate $1,500 a month of purchasing power for 30 years, because it's not. $432,000 30 years from now is going to feel more like $100,000 of today. And this is based off of normal inflation. Imagine going into hyperinflation. And you think, well, Dale, golly, how do I even live? Well, we have to make sure that we understand all the parameters of retirement and know that you are going to go from go-go years to slow-go years, and from slow-go years into no-go years. Understanding this helps us map out a true plan for how we should spend such a finite amount of money. And we can help you do that. 270-600-PLAN. We're going to go to a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to discuss volatility in the stock market and why averages lie. Don't go anywhere. We're back in 30 seconds.
You're listening to the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. Dale is the founder and president of R.D. Smothers Wealth Management. We specialize in building retirement plans that allow you to walk away from the worry of running out of money. If you'd like to chat with a member of our team, you can do so absolutely free by calling 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-PLAN. Visit us online at rdswealth.com and be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter.
All right, welcome back to the final section of the Retirement Matters Show. Today, I want to wrap up with something called stock market volatility, and I want you to understand why I tell you that averages lie. When it comes to trying to find an average rate of return in the retirement income years, you should stop trying to seek more return, and you should instead be seeking less volatility. Now, cash has no volatility except what we just got done discussing called inflation. Cash loses money due to inflation. So as a retiree, we are faced with this dilemma of making sure our money's keeping up with inflation, but we don't want a lot of volatility. So we go to the stock market. And if we are in the stock market and we are experiencing negative returns in any given year, then I want you to realize that your statement that tells you an average rate of return is lying to you. What we have to do is limit that volatility and take as little loss as possible to average a realistic rate of return that is achievable for us, but also helps us achieve our goals and objectives. This has to be done inside of a well-written plan because we got to be able to know what targeted rate of return we need. We've done this example in the past, and this is going to highlight very clearly why averages lie to us. Let's imagine that we have an investment that over 2 years' time averages 10% rate of return per year. And let's imagine that we put $100,000 into that investment. And let's imagine that over those 2 years, we would expect that 10% average rate of return to compound, and it would be somewhere around $120,000 when we were done. Anybody would rationalize that. The investment averages 10%, and ultimately we would be in that investment for 2 years, experiencing 10% per year. 100,000 goes to 110, 110 goes to a little over 120. Basic and very simple math. Okay. But in reality, let's say that the investment averages 10% rate of return in this manner. The first year, we experience a negative 30%. That's definitely within reason, and we know that that's possible inside of the stock market. The following year, we experience a positive 50%. Again, well within reason and possible in the stock market. Now, we have averaged over 2 years a 10% rate of return. Total return, 20%. Average return over 2 years, 10%. What does that mean for your money? Well, that would mean if you do the math, you're actually only going to see your $100,000 grow to $105,000 not 120. Because when we've lost 30% that first year and then we make 50% back, we are making 50% on a much smaller number. Actual rate of return is a little over 2.5% rate of return average. So you're telling me, Dale, that a 10% rate of return average can actually only return me 2.5%? That's exactly what I'm telling you. And it's painted in that scenario alone. And this is why I told you at the beginning of the show that I would rather see you average a 4 or 5% rate of return with low or no volatility than to see you experience a 10% average rate of return with extreme volatility. And with that sound, we are wrapping this show up. Listen, this is what I'm talking about with volatility. Volatility and inflation combined can jeopardize your retirement account. We need to make sure that we account for inflation, and we need to make sure that we eliminate or at the very least mitigate the volatility that you experience in your retirement account. We can help you do that here at RDS Wealth. Give us a call, 270-600-PLAN, and we'll show you how. And I would be remiss if I didn't remind you about our challenge that we laid out at the beginning of the show in our Pause for Positivity, where we talked about making sure that you're filling those voids in your life with the right things and that you're not using prejudice or past experiences to judge what you're seeing today. I believe that if we do this with intention, we are going to see this world become a brighter place day by day and person by person. You are impacting someone, and I hope that this show impacts you each and every week. I can't wait to talk to you next week, but until we do, whether it's in person or right here on this show, always remember, save money, plan well, and live happy in retirement. God bless.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and RD Smothers Wealth Management are not affiliated companies. Investing involves a risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. RD Smothers Wealth Management is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by RD Smothers Wealth Management.